All right, class, let's get started on our research, specifically our research paper, right? Before you watch this video, make sure you watch the Project 3 overview, okay? Otherwise, this video won't quite make sense. So click on that and watch that video, which is already uploaded. Then after that, come over here to learn more about how to create a research question, which is one of the activities or discussions you have this week, and how to use or find journal articles and what they are exactly. So let's get to it. So first of all, before you can actually start writing a research paper, you need to come up with a research question. And this is an activity, a discussion that you will do this week for, like I said, for your research paper. It is right here, research question for Project 3. Anyways, let's get into what is a research question. So think of it as a short, focused, clear, and arguable question that centers on your research topic. So you will pick a topic, whatever, and for us, of course, it'll be something to do with technology, right? Electric cars, video games, smartphones, a hammer, a football helmet, whatever. Like I said in my overview, technology can be anything in between a rock with a hammer attached to, or a rock with a stick attached to it, to a high-end smartphone, right? And anything in between. Either way, once you find your topic, you will then need to come up with an arguable, focused, clear research question, right? And that's the key term, though. Arguable. I don't want to report. I don't want you to tell me about your topic and inform me. I want you to argue about it. It's going to be very important because it's going to help you stay focused on creating and composing your paper. So, how do you develop a research question? Okay, this is something that you may want to watch as you're doing that topic here, as you are creating a research question for Project 3. But basically, first and foremost, find a topic you're interested in, right? And like I said, in our case, it's going to be something to do with technology. If you're, for instance, someone that's into cars, great, choose cars. Or someone that's into writing, pens, or maybe computers. Or someone who's an environmentalist, maybe plastic bottles, right? And maybe you want to argue how we should get rid of plastic bottles. Like right now, at the time of this video, plastic straws are becoming very argued, right? They're becoming something that people want to get rid of completely because they're honestly not that needed, and they're completely messing up the oceans and completely harming wildlife in the oceans. So there's no reason to do that. Maybe you want to take it a step further and say, you know what? I think I want to argue that plastic bottles should also be getting, we should just get rid of them. Either way, once you find a topic, the next thing you need to do is, of course, just search it. Just Google it, like I mentioned in my outline. Plastic, let's see. Bottles. And I just Googled it, right? So I found this is actually a good way of doing this. So I just put plastic bottles there, right? And I didn't really get like what I wanted. I got a bunch of buying plastic bottles and from Amazon right here. Great, no thank you, and just buying stuff. But so maybe that's enough. Not enough, right? Just to put plastic bottles. Maybe I should look at what we have here. Plastic bottles pollution. Yeah, that's more what I want to see, right? More what I want to look at. So maybe once I Google it, I just start reading a little bit about it, which is what would be good. Not the ads here, but more about what's going on, plastic pollution. Maybe not here. This one looks like it's more of a bias source, which is maybe not a good thing to choose. So maybe this one right here, TheGuardian.com, maybe it might be more unbiased and maybe a better one to use in my paper. And then just read about it. Read about what's going on with plastic bottles in the ocean, and then this source that I'm reading about and learning more about might be something that I want to use to support my argument in my research paper. Anyways, once you find your topic, whatever it may be, you then start to kind of narrow down that broad topic, plastic bottles, into something more narrow and more argumentative. So here I have a couple of examples. Social networking has invaded every facet of our lives. Video games are becoming more engrossing. Pencils are still relevant in today's digital age. Electric cars are incredibly fuel efficient. And maybe the fifth one, the example we're working on here, plastic bottles should be removed because they're really starting to become an issue when it comes to our environment. So that's the general topic you kind of come up with. And then you do some more Google searches, look for more information. Ideally, start to look for journal articles, which I'll get into here in a second. But like I said, inform yourself of the subject so you can start to figure out what exactly you are arguing about. Then, once you kind of figure out what you want to do and what your argument's going to be and what your subject's going to be, it's time to start asking questions. So here I have a couple, and this is me doing Facebook and privacy, right? How we are losing our privacy due to Facebook. So example here is, how has social networking interweaved itself in every facet of our everyday life? Why do we give social networking sites like Facebook so much information about us? And are social networking sites harmful, right? So I just came up with some questions, just a list of questions of what I think I want to research, right? After that, you want to further develop it and make something more of an argument, or at least start to develop it so you can start looking for sources. So here I chose, I think I'm going to use, our social networking sites harmful? Okay, but I want that's a little bit too broad. I want to make it more focused, more researchable, and eventually it might become a thesis, so I want to make it more argumentative, right? So I'm asking, how are users of social networking sites like Facebook and LinkedIn address issues of privacy? And you know what? I think that is too broad still, so I'm just going to remove LinkedIn because I'm just going to focus on Facebook. Yes, how are users of social networking sites like Facebook addressing issues of privacy? I think that would be much better. And I think that'll be my research question that I'm not going to use and start looking for sources. So let's just use this for example and cut the plastic bottle one out and say I'm going to be using for, so I got a lot of Facebook stuff right there, Facebook and privacy. And so now I'm going to start looking for more sources, and sources specifically related to the argument I'm going to try to make. But here's the thing. When it comes to research, there's some things you need to know here. Your previous papers, you had an argument to make, right? So you made an argument about a commercial, or you made an argument in your second paper in the letter how you wanted a puppy or whatever. And then after you made that argument, you then found sources to support that argument. However, that's not how research works. Research, you have a hypothesis, and that's really what this question is. It's like, I think we're losing our privacy through Facebook, but I don't know, right? I'm not sure because I haven't done the research yet, and that's what we're doing here. We're trying to figure out what's really happening here and what we can prove. So maybe, and this is not the case, but just for an example, we find out, oh no, Facebook is fine. Our privacy is totally okay. We don't need to worry about it, and there's a lot of evidence that provides it. Or maybe we find that, oh, actually, yeah, Facebook is bad. We need to do something about how much it's taking away our privacy, or at least be more aware of it. But you don't know that. You don't know which way it's going to fall, right? Or at least you don't know which way it's going to argue until you actually do the research. And that's what we're doing here. We're looking for sources that helps us understand how our topics are being argued or are being supported. So here I have 9 things to know about Facebook privacy in Cambridge and Analytica. And how old is this post? Oh, fairly new. One thing I also want to mention here real quick as a side note, if you're doing a digital technology or a technology that's, like a computer, smartphone, things like that, or social networking sites or internet, anything like that, right? The date is going to be very important because in the technology world or digital technology world, something that was made in 2010 is ancient. It's probably not going to be relevant today. So 2 years from now or ago from now is good. So 2016 would be all right, but 2018 is perfect. But something from 2010, useless. Now, if you chose a technology like television and you found something from the 90s, that's probably going to be okay, right? Television's been here for a long time, and something like that is going to be a big deal. But just as a side note. Anyways, so we found a couple of articles here. Here's an article, and I'm like, oh, that's great. That's actually, I'm learning more about Facebook and privacy and how it's taking away our privacy. Great. This will be a great thing to use. And I'm starting to think my question is going to become a thesis later on, but still, I need to look for more. Now, after looking for some stuff, and you, of course, like I said, you have to find 3 of sources that are common, and these are common sources here. No, thank you. These are common sources that you can use for your paper. You also need to find 3 journal articles as needed for this assignment. As such, the first thing you're going to need to do to find those articles is go to the library homepage. And I'll have a link, of course, to this, but you guys should know this as you use this to get to Canvas. Anyways, you come here, and then you go to Services here, and then go to Library Online. Click on that, and that'll take you to the library website. Now, one thing to know if you're doing this at home, which I'm sure a lot of you do because this is an online course, they'll have you log in either here or when you search for your whatever topic you have, and it'll log you in exactly the same way you log into Canvas. Okay, so if you haven't done this so far, no big deal. It's the same username, same password. Anyways, this is where you're going to look for scholarly sources, of which you need 2, right? So I'm going to put in privacy. Facebook. Don't put and or anything like that. It's not going to work. Just put the main ideas here. So privacy, Facebook. Those are my 2 key terms I want to look for. And here we go. All right. Before I can, I need to sign in myself. Okay, let's sign in. Faculty and staff. Don't see my password. That's fine. No one can see it. All right, we're logged in. Great. Now I can see the articles. Whatever. So here we are with our search. Before you start looking at any of these, don't look at stuff just yet because these are all multiple sources, which might be books, might be videos, and what you're looking for specifically is peer-reviewed articles, correct? As such, before you start looking at any of these, go over here to the left and click peer-reviewed journal articles. And these are the journal articles that will count towards your submission for the 2 requirements needed for the research paper. Now, as an aside here, let me explain what journal articles are. Journal articles are by far the most credible sources you could ever use in writing. These are articles that are created from scholars, from doctors, from professors, from researchers, and universities usually. And they're looking at whatever topic is in their field, right? And the way they get published in these journals, for instance, this journal is from the Computers and Human Behavior, right? They have to send this article or their paper to be reviewed by people in their field, peers, right? And these peers are people who have been in the field for decades or for a very long time. And they look at this article for any mistakes, any logical errors, any kind of issues it may have, if their experiments are done well, if their numbers line up, all that stuff. And it's an arduous process. It is very heavy, and it is very difficult to get a journal article published because of this process. But if it is, it means it is by far one of the most credible sources you could ever use. The flip side is that they are by far one of the most dense sources and most dense reading you're ever going to do. Because they're very technical. These articles aren't written necessarily for you, for students. They're written for other scholars in their fields. However, I still want you to get familiar with these articles because they can be an incredible way of supporting your arguments. Whatever the case, you need to find 2 articles that will help you make an argument. But again, you need to find that argument. And the way to find it is, of course, by reading these articles. Anyways, because of how dense they are, you need to go through these, but you're not going to read every single one, right? That'd be ridiculous. What you're going to do is click on, let's say we're going to do this one, right? And the first thing you do as soon as you see that it's available here, we're going to read the abstract. And the abstract is right here, which is just a description, a summary, think of it, a summary of what this article is about. And it tells us what argument is being made and what they found, right? Real quickly in a simple paragraph, right? So let's say here, managing privacy in an interconnected digital environment of Facebook can be complex yet a vital endeavor. The study utilizes the theoretical framework of communication privacy management and yada, 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 yada. Let's just say that, yes, this is exactly what I'm going to be researching. This is exactly what I want. I want to know more about it, so it might help me develop my argument. So let's go look for it. And likewise, maybe we would say, you know what? I don't think this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. It doesn't sound like it's going to help me with my point. It doesn't sound like it's actually part of what I'm trying to argue. Let's go to the next one. And that's totally fine, because you don't have time to go through each and read them all, these articles, because they're very dense. You find the one you need, and I'm like, not this one either. I don't think this one's going to work. But this one, you read the abstract, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the one. This looks right up my alley. So once you find one, click on the full text available, like so. Okay, I'll log in again. Sure, whatever. Click in it, and it'll take you to the database eventually. One day, maybe, someday. Please. Did my internet go? Nope. Nope, there we go. All right, so here finally we got through that. We're able to connect, and you have to do what I just did there, and make sure you're connected through our database, because otherwise it's going to ask you to pay for this, and you do not want to buy this. It's like $30, and that's ridiculous. Make sure you go to the database, and it'll be completely free. It's part of your fees, so whatever. The library's already paid for it. Just find it. All right, so here we go, and here it is. Here's the article, and as you can see, it's heavy stuff. Reading this is going to be a challenge, of course, but that is part of the challenge that I want to present to you, especially if this is your first time. Of course, it's going to be hard, but that's why I only want you to find two. It might behoove you, of course, to download a PDF that's usually up here or right here, depending on whichever database you're finding it from. And either way, this is a journal article. This is what you're going to use. And find two of these, read them, read your popular sources, like so. And once that's done, along with your research question, once you've read all of your articles, you will then, of course, for your next part, annotate them. So you will summarize them for me as well. You will summarize this article, and then the other two that you have, and you'll summarize this article. Do not use the abstract. You will use your own words to summarize this article. And tell me, of course, why you think it'll be a good way to support your argument. Either way, once that's all done, once you've done the annotated bibliography, once you've read all your work, all your works, all your sources, you will then come up with an argument. And perhaps in my case, for this example, I would say my thesis and my argument ultimately would be Facebook is creating privacy issues. More specifically, we are paying Facebook with our privacy. As such, more users need to be aware of this issue to be able to make a logical choice when faced with using Facebook. And that's my argument, right? I'm arguing that, hey, Facebook is taking away our privacy. I'm not saying you need to take it away or not use it, but you need to be aware of what's going on. And that's an argument, because some people may argue against and say, you know what, they are taking away our privacy, but it's the payment we have to accept that payment, and you should be fine with it. If you are not cool with it, well, then you shouldn't use Facebook. And I argue, well, that's not really fair, because anyways, you see what I'm doing. I go back and forth with this, and the video is getting too long as it is, and I don't want to make it any longer. Either way, this is what I'm asking you to do. This is part of your assignment. You need to find sources. You need to find a research question. You need to find two scholarly sources, and you need to summarize them, annotate them, and then, of course, come up with a research argument, and then start writing your paper once this is all done. And it seems like a lot, and it is, but we're doing this one step at a time. One thing to know about this, when it comes to looking for sources, is that some of these you may not have access to. So maybe there's some that they look great up your alley, but you just can't. You don't have the full text. And that happens, and it's a shame, but you just have to move on to something else. It looks like all these are looking good, though. If it says full text available, usually you can find it. One little trick that I want you to notice, too. Let me go over here to Word real quick and open this up. So say you have a works cited page, right, which you're going to have for this assignment. And you have one of your papers here, right? So say we're using, it doesn't matter, this guy right here, right? And you're like, oh, this is perfect, but oh man, it's going to be so hard to cite this thing. I don't know how to cite it in a works cited page. Well, guess what? When it comes to scholarly articles, and the only scholarly articles, not your internet sources, you're going to have to look at my video on MLA 8 citations to do those, but on journal articles like this, journal scholarly sources, peer-reviewed scholarly sources, if you go over here and you go over to citation, and then you'll see all the citation formats. Click on MLA 8, which it was already on, and there you go. You just grab all this, copy it, and you're done. It's all set. You don't have to do anything. Except for, of course, maybe change it to Times New Roman to make sure it matches everything else. 12 point. And there you go. You're all set. You don't need to worry about your works cited for your journal articles anyways. And that's it. That's all you really have to do. If, say, I use that one and maybe this one, and you could see actually that I was already there right here. Citations. Same thing, MLA 8. Here we go. This guy starts with a C or gal. And so since it starts, a B, starts with the B, we'll go over here. And we're all set. Bam. Nice and done. And there we go. A nice, even, completely cited in the works cited page. Citations for your journal articles. Pretty easy. Make sure you use this. There's no reason not to. Of course, you still need to cite in the text of your paper. So for instance, this first one would be, and of course the parenthetical, and it'd be Bufakari Furi, however you say his last name or her last name, et al. And et al. Means and others, meaning there's multiple authors, but they just said et al. Because they didn't want to list them all out, which is fine. And then, of course, whatever page number you took, whatever quote or paraphrase or summary, and let's just say it's 90. And there you go, right? And of course, with this one, it'd be Child and Starcher here, or however you say their last names. The parenthetical, and then of course whatever page number you used for this citation. Right? Right. So there you go. That's how you cite that. Just a quick aside as something to figure out. So anyways, that is the first part of your assignment that you're required to do. This will help you figure out how to do, of course, your research question, how to develop an annotated bibliography, and of course starting the rough draft for this project. Again, the main idea is to find a topic, create a research question about the topic, find your sources, start asking questions about those sources, and then once you've done reading them and annotated them, you will then of course develop a research question. And then after that, once you've further read your sources, once you've further understood your research question, you would then, of course, develop an argument, which will eventually, for the most part, become a thesis statement. So that is assignment 3 in research. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you have any concerns about anything or you need help, send me an email. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, just like always.